The prince who faced the Shadow Prince Leo wasn't the biggest boy in the kingdom. His sword, a wooden practice one, felt heavy, and his shield, painted with a slightly wobbly lion, was almost as tall as he was. While other boys boasted about slaying pretend dragons, Leo often watched the castle's sparrows, wondering how they flew so bravely into the wide open sky. One crisp autumn morning, a strange hush fell over the land. The cheerful songs of birds vanished. The bright flowers in the royal gardens seemed to droop, their colors dulling. Even the sun felt weaker, casting long, cold shadows that clung to the castle walls like sticky cobwebs. Whispers spread. A creeping shadow had seeped from the dark hollow, draining joy and light wherever it touched. The king called his bravest knights. "We must drive back the shadow," he declared. Clad in gleaming armor, they marched towards the hollow, their boots thudding like war drums. Leo watched them go, his small heart pounding. He wanted to be brave like them, but the shadow sounded terrifying. That night, Leo couldn't sleep. The shadows in his room seemed deeper, colder. He heard a tiny, frightened squeak from the garden below. Peeking out, he saw his favorite sparrow, Pip, fluttering weakly near the wilted roses, trapped in a patch of unnaturally thick shadow. Pip's usual bright chirp was gone, replaced by a feeble whimper. Leo's fear was a cold stone in his stomach, but seeing Pip suffer made something else flare inside him, a warm, determined spark. Someone had to help Pip. The knights were far away. It had to be him. Taking a deep breath that felt like swallowing courage, Leo grabbed his wooden sword and his wobbly lion shield. He didn't have armor, just his nightshirt and slippers. He crept down the silent stairs, past sleeping guards, and out into the moonlit garden. The shadow felt like icy fingers brushing his skin. The air was thick and silent, pressing in on him. Pip's tiny form was almost swallowed by the darkness near the old oak tree. Leo's legs trembled. "Run back." His fear screamed, but Pip needed him. "Stay back, Shadow," Leo called, his voice surprisingly steady. He raised his wooden sword, pointing it at the creeping darkness near Pip. It felt silly, like waving a stick at smoke. The shadow didn't roar or charge. It just oozed closer, cold and silent, trying to engulf the little bird. Leo remembered his nurse's words. "True light comes from within, little lion." He closed his eyes for just a second, not in fear, but to find that warm spark inside his chest. The spark of wanting to protect Pip, the spark of love for his garden, his home. He pictured the sun, warm and golden. Then he did something unexpected. Instead of swinging his sword, he shouted, not a battle cry, but the loudest, clearest, happiest sound he could make. "Hello, Pip." The sound, full of warmth and care, burst from him like a tiny sunbeam, where his voice touched the shadow near Pip. The darkness flinched. It didn't vanish, but it shrank back, recoiling from the pure, brave sound of his voice. Encouraged, Leo took a step forward. "You can't have him," he declared, his voice ringing with newfound strength. He stamped his foot. "This is our garden. Go away." He kept talking, pouring all his love for Pip, for the roses, for the sunny mornings into his words. He sang a silly song his mother used to sing. He told the shadow it was rude to steal joy. With every word, every stamp of his slippered foot, the warm light inside him seemed to push the cold shadow back. It hissed like steam on hot stone, retreating from the sound of his brave heart. Slowly, miraculously, the patch of shadow holding Pip dissolved. The little sparrow gave a weak but joyful chirp and fluttered onto Leo's shoulder, nuzzling his cheek with its tiny beak. The moonlight seemed brighter, the air felt less heavy. Just then the king and his knights returned, looking weary and defeated. They'd found the shadow's source in the hollow, but their swords and shouts had done nothing. They stopped, astonished, seeing Prince Leo standing tall in the garden, Pip on his shoulder, the last wisps of shadow melting away before him. "Leo," the king breathed. How Leo lowered his wooden sword, suddenly feeling shy again. I just talked to it, father, and I protected Pip." The chief knight knelt, his armor clinking softly. "Your Majesty," he said, his voice thick with awe, "it seems the greatest weapon against the shadow is a brave heart that speaks kindness." From that day on, Prince Leo was still small, and his sword was still wood. But everyone in the kingdom knew true bravery wasn't about size or steel. It was about the courage to step into the dark when someone needed you, and the power of a kind, determined voice to light the way. And whenever shadows threatened, the people didn't just look for knights. They listened for the clear, brave voice of their little warrior prince, reminding them that light always begins within.